I'd say here the advantage is the teachers. The advantage is that they work in this industry every day. And they have been for 30, 40 years, some of them.
Uh-oh.
We are back. It is
We are back.
episode
We are back.
178 of the, I almost said the Metal Rob Show. It is not the Metal Rob
Dang it,
Show.
you do that every time.
Every time. We are back. It is episode 178 of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me, as always, is the great
Carcass John and Scott, No Life Till
And-
Metal Waters.
Yes.
That's what I am today.
And of course, we've already had a technical glitch as I tried to play our new commercial, and my brand new lightning fast internet speed can't handle it for some reason.
Oh my gosh.
And I have a massive beard hair sticking out too, which is driving me nuts. Hello, my dark overlords. Richie, hello.
I don't know how
Easy
dark we
Nick
are today.
here.
Looking pretty.
I'm pretty dark right now. I'm irritated, but you guys know that. I got to
Yeah.
drop it. We need to talk about some metal so I can get it because I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of
Oh,
UPS at the moment.
Well, and I need to fix the banner because I went into the show and then I went out of the show, and so I screwed up the banner too.
But we're so technically proficient and there's never any production value.
That's
Or
right.
our production value is at the utmost highest standards. I'm sorry.
That's right. Correct. Save
So
the
do we-
banner. Now watch. It's magic. Are you ready? Look at that. Woo. All right. Well, you guys got shout outs. I got a couple things that are not right here at my fingertips for some reason. So I will shout this out. I don't know what I did with that stuff. This came in the mail.
Yep.
Ooh.
Lazarus AD that Scott and I got to work on. Pretty cool. Brutal Planet hits another one out of the park with their Metal Icon series of reissues licensed from Metal Blade. Yes, they're licensed. Yes, the royalties were paid.
You mean those guys
Yeah.
didn't give you grief about it?
Publishing was paid. Oh, I didn't get that.
Should be in your CD.
Oh, I didn't open it.
Uh-huh.
Hang
Yep.
on.
The cards are inside the CD.
So if you guys don't know, Brutal Planet is one of the labels that Scott and I work with. And they do a Metal Icon series is one of the things they do. Look at that. Yeah. Whee.
Whee.
There it is.
And there's the back, designed by Scooter Waters. So, yeah, they do a great job of reissuing this stuff. And the thing that I'm most excited about is we get copies of it.
Yep.
I mean, getting paid is cool.
I don't know if I showed this one or not last week or not, but I also got this one in the mail recently. The New Bride. The
Yep.
deluxe edition with two collector's cards and and one of those O-rings that are hard to get the CDs out of. And but there it goes. There's the actual disc itself. No, I did not do the cover art, but it's actually on a gold disc. The
Awesome.
deluxe edition is on a gold disc.
Hey, did the Lazarus AD, does it have extra tracks or is it just the album, that album?
It is
should-
the album remastered.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Onslaught remastered.
Man,
There's
I
no
remember
book
seeing
tracks.
them maybe 8 or 10 years ago. And then they
Yeah,
just
then-
kind of poof disappeared.
Yeah, their drummer passed away,
Well, that'll do it. Sorry.
and yeah, they put out 2 albums, and then they were kind of on the upswing, and they were playing lots of shows with other big bands and touring, and I don't know what happened, but all I know is that their drummer passed away.
Sad news. Hey, I wonder if TJ's he's responding from Germany. He was traveling Europe and drinking lots of import beers and
I
looking
think
at
he's
soccer
back, but I
stadiums.
could be wrong.
I don't know. You back,
Repo.
TJ?
Those Lazarus went fast. I couldn't get one.
Whoa.
One. Nope, they're still available. FoonsOverstock.com, Amazon, I believe. I'm gonna double check right now for you.
What are you talking about, Mark?
Or maybe it hasn't gone on sale yet. That's a possibility too.
Yeah, look something.
I thought it did though.
So, while we're at the intro of the show, before we jump, Carcass, sorry, go ahead. You got some shout outs?
Oh, no. Let's see. I'm going to shout out Kiki Dickerson. She's one of my favorite humans. They're one of my favorite humans on the planet. And I want to shout out all the people that responded. I just sort of lobbed out a softball to some of my friends and family about, their basically the subject, and man, a whole bunch of people responded, and ironically a lot of the same names kept popping up. So if we get time, I'll kind of browse through and see if we can make some connections there. But we had a lot of responses, a lot of people with a hot sports opinion about how they got their start in the metal music side of things.
Right on.
All right, Repo, I just put the link up to buy the Lazarus AD. It's available on Amazon.
Yeah, before we get into the topic of the show, what Mark is saying, I forgot. Yeah, we had a sector boundary error that must have been on the original disc. I don't remember. And sometimes when I can't fight through that stuff and get it fixed, the surgeon himself, my little buddy from Boston.
And speaking of Mark Fields,
Mark is a badass, and when I get over my head with something audio wise on the technical side, I run stuff by him, and he helps me out. So he definitely has been my right hand man in a few instances. He saved my bacon. So
I will tell, and just to that point, Mark, I did get your email, and I will render my opinions on the logos you sent. So thanks for asking.
What's up, Frazier?
What's going on, Frazier? Australia's chiming in with Mark Chaos Massacre.
Whoop, whoop. I didn't pull anything to do a shout out or anything, but
I pulled something.
I will say that the White Heart box set went on sale last weekend and sold out over the weekend. Wow. So there you go. That's pretty cool.
You're not a museum, man. You want that stuff to move.
Yep. And to all the people asking if I heard about the Aerosmith, yes. I did hear that they were on the last tour.
Yep.
And somebody said, did I see them tagged me in it on? I probably did. I usually hit the like button when someone tags me in something, so I'm assuming I did, but there's a chance I missed it. I get tagged in a lot of stuff, so I couldn't miss it. My apologies.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there. So as I continue to try to get better about the front of the show, I want to talk about a couple things real quick before we get into the topic. First of all, we have a sponsor, MediaTek. I tried to run their commercial. It did not work for some reason. I ran it last week with no problem. I am pretty sure it's my internet connection that I'm having trouble with. But mediatek.edu, if you want to learn all things audio video engineering, mediatek.edu is your place to go. The great Sterling Winfield has been involved with those guys. Kerry Crafton is there now. They have campuses in Houston and Dallas, and I know they would love for you to stop by and check out the place. Yes, Frazier, I know I failed. I'm not going to post your comment, you jackass. But anyway, yeah, those guys are super nice guys. We've seen some killer productions from them. Carcass and I saw Iron Jaw play there, and they did a live stream, and it was awesome. And so, yeah, shout out to the dudes at MediaTek. We're going to keep shouting those guys out, and hopefully I can figure out how to correctly run their damn commercial. And also, we're broadcasting on a new Facebook page today. Do you guys realize that?
What?
I don't think you do. So
I felt a disturbance in the force.
So Carcass and I have shows that we do on Deep Dallas Radio every Friday. The Metal Rob show is at 5 o'clock every Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. on Deep Dallas Radio. You can get there by going to deepdallasradio.rocks and just hitting the listen now button, or you can go to Apple Music or Apple Radio. You can go to the Live 365 app, the TuneIn app, all that stuff, and just search Deep Dallas Radio and click on the button, and we will play at 5 o'clock. Also, yeah, maybe you should enroll in MediaTek, idiot. Richie to the rescue.
It's the teachers. It's the teachers.
And then, but also, I messaged Brad and I said, hey, and Carcass just show the Crypt at 6 o'clock every Friday following my show. We pre-record those and put those out there. And so we're trying to get ahead of those and put some promotion out in front of them. And also, I texted with Brad today and said, hey, if we're broadcasting and cross-promoting all this stuff, why don't we just broadcast the Metal Roundtable every Tuesday on the Deep Dallas Radio page? And so here we are. Today is the first day that we do that. So let me catch up on some comments. Yes, thank you. Oh, damn it. I said I wasn't going to post that. Yep, Aerosmith ticket prices. Funny. Yes, I am funny, Frazier. We're going in a little bit different direction. But yes, that makes sense, Mark. That's a good. Maybe you should enroll in MediaTek. Yes. Hello, go Cowboys. And let's get into the topic, shall we? So, the topic today, we're going to talk about if you were going to introduce someone to metal, what 10 songs would you use? This started as an idea. What are the 10 greatest heavy metal songs of all time? And Scott's brain nearly exploded. My brain nearly exploded. Like, oh my gosh, how could we narrow that down? And then we massaged it a little bit with Carcass's permission, and we decided to throw out 10 songs that would be our intro to metal if we were bringing somebody into the fold.
Sorry about that.
So who wants to start?
Well, I tell you what.
And it could be more than 10. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
yeah, I've got more than 10. I just
that's a
writing them
shock.
down and thinking of them.
That's a shock, but no, maybe not. Okay, you can't see this. Oh, maybe you can.
Carcass made a list. Wow.
I actually taught this as a lesson to a bunch of kids one time. Like if I were going to introduce, basically, the premise was we discussed the history of metal, how metal came about, the genres of metal, of which I just rattled off 18 different genres of metal, and without even thinking about it. And basically what the premise was is there's a lot more to metal than just a couple of songs. So, I mean, I was trying to remember who told me, it was Tex Duncan from Creeper. We've had him on the show. I asked him what he thought. He said, well, it kind of depends on what they've been listening to before you segued them into metal. Do they listen to classic rock? Do they listen to radio rock? Do they listen to Nickelback? I mean, how do you get? Although in Canada, I guess Nickelback is considered metal, but I don't know. But anyway, so I don't know how many types of metal music do you think there is?
Oh God, too many to even mention.
Okay, so we probably don't need to get into that. So anyway, what I did for these kids is I actually did a compilation. And then I put a song on there, and then I did a little explanation as to why I put it on there. And then I just said, now you can just take this and go down the rabbit hole, go on to Bandcamp, go on to YouTube, go on to whatever. And that's how it worked. So
Cool.
I don't know. You want me to start with a couple of bands?
Yeah. Well, throw out, we were talking songs, right?
Well, either songs or, these are all songs. But they're attached to a band, so obviously,
yeah, of course.
So the first 3 songs I put on the compilation were Blue Cheer, Parchment Farm, recorded in '68. I think they're like the great grandfathers of metal. We've had that discussion before. They talked about rebellion, violence, psychedelia, all very metal things. The next song I put was Black Sabbath, The Wizard. And of course, just the name starts parents running for their local parish or church group. And anyway, I give a little brief history on that. And part of my premise is they, Sabbath is a blues based thing. And I think if it weren't for Elvis making the blues so popular, that maybe the Caucasian public wouldn't have paid so much attention to the blues based stuff. And then the third song I put on there was a Casualty song called Death Toll.
Right on.
So those are my first three songs that I would recommend. And like I said, there was a lot of feedback of guys, talking about the Zeppelins, the Who, basically the British Invasion, Iron Maiden, Priest, whatever. But those were the first three. Those were the first three recommendations on my compilation CD, which I would be happy to send anybody if they want to just hit me up at Carcass John Art on Instagram, and I would be happy to send them a compilation CD with an explanation.
Nice. Well, I started off, I'll just throw out a couple to start because I am 100% sure that both of you have this. So when I was thinking today about 10 songs that I would use to introduce metal, I did not go back to 68. I think I only went back to around 81, 82, because to me, even though I've got some Sabbath in here, so I went back to 80, but I did not put an Ozzy Sabbath song on here. My first two songs are Over the Mountain by Ozzy, which was very seminal in my metal upbringing, if you will, and Heaven and Hell by Sabbath, featuring Dio on vocals. So those to me were just two absolute monumental metal songs in my metal formation. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, those are good. I mean, I took this as like, if I was going to make a compilation of songs and give it to somebody who knew nothing about metal and say, this is what metal sounds like, or this is what heavy metal sounds like. So
Right.
that's kind of what I went. So I probably, I got a list of about 20 songs here. So, but yeah, those are all good choices. You want me to give a few of my own? I mean,
do it, or should we, let's do it like this. I'll just run through my list real quick. Y'all can comment as you want. We'll run through your list, and then let's just do it that way.
All right.
Okay.
It'll be easier to keep up with. So if I were to introduce somebody to heavy metal today, and this is off the top of my head a couple of hours ago, Over the Mountain by Ozzy, Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath, Hell's Bells by AC/DC. You can say they're a hard rock band or whatever you want. To me, there's a lot of things that encompass metal. The Axeman by Omen, I think, is a great track to
That's
get
a good
somebody
choice.
into metal. If you're
Absolutely.
going to go a little more thrash, I put Long Live the Loud by Exciter. I put Riding on the Wind by Judas Priest. I put Flight of Icarus by Iron Maiden. Holy Wars by Megadeth to get some more modern thrash. Master of Puppets, Metallica. And of course, I have to have somebody wearing spandex in my list. And Fighting for the Right to Rock would be Keel.
It's a good song. Like it or not, you can laugh at Keel all you want to, but they put out some good stuff, especially early on.
Yeah,
I mean, they got a little more.
There's
They got a little more commercial, but
a million honorable mentions. I could have gone on forever, but if I were going to make a playlist today to show some kid, that's what I would have thrown on there.
right on.
What about you, Scott?
This is some of the ones that I came up. The first ones that came to mind when I was trying to make this list. Is that me? With that, you guys hear that noise?
Yeah, I moved mine. Might have been me. I don't
Okay,
know.
cool. Fast as a Shark, Accept.
It's a good one.
Yep.
Queen of the Reich, Queen's Reich.
Very nice.
I Love It Loud, Kiss. I did put Judas Priest on there, but I couldn't narrow it down to which song. So the three songs I have written here: Exciter, which is really the song that got me into Priest back in the day. The Hellion / Electric Eye, I mean, those two are pretty much one, and
Right.
or Painkiller. I think any of those could work on that kind of thing. Steeler, Cold Day in Hell,
Yes.
Ron Keel and Yngwie Malmsteen. Riot. Again, this is another one I argued with myself about which song would I choose, but couldn't decide if I want to do On Wings of Eagles or Warrior.
Swords and
Not-
Tequila.
I was going to say Swords and Tequila didn't make your list.
No, Swords and Tequila is a good song. It just, I'm trying to think. This is pure heavy metal, and nobody's going to argue with me that it's hard rock.
Okay.
that's-
Well, I mean, I air guitared that solo in Swords and Tequila like a million times, but whatever.
But
We
yeah,
all
I
have
mean,
our own
the
list.
Warrior is just as heavy of a song, and that's like 1978.
Yeah.
So, Impolitary, Burning,
Oh
More-
wow.
more modern, Halford, Resurrection,
Oh my gosh, dude, you're killing it.
Yep.
and Hammerfall, The Dragon Lies Bleeding.
I don't even know that song.
Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with anything you've said so far.
I've got what 1, 2, 3, 4 more in this particular list, but funny, a lot of these songs have metal in the titles. But how about Metal Church, Ton of Bricks?
Yes.
Could have really pulled anything off the first few albums, but
Yep.
always loved Ton of Bricks. Always been one of my favorite songs. Manowar, Kill with Power, Die. I'm not the biggest Manowar song fan, but
No,
I mean, Hail to England was one of those albums that I discovered early on, and just was one of the
Yeah.
foundations of heavy metal for me.
to me,
What's that?
I think
Oh,
Rob just likes their wardrobe. That's why he has the
shut up.
All right, here you go. A few more. How about Medal of Honor, TT Quick?
yeah.
I could have also. I also thought about Metal Man from TT Quick, which either song could work. Metal on Metal, Anvil,
Oh, that's a good one.
and then finally Pedal to the Metal by Mass.
Okay.
Oh, and actually, I put one more down that's kind of self-serving. Heart of Metal, Ultimatum.
Well, don't hurt your shoulder patting yourself on the back. Oh,
Not saying greatest song ever, just saying
No,
it would
I
be a
know, I'm
song to
just
introduce someone to metal to you.
no, that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well,
Nobody
Anyhow,
okay.
said
that's some of the songs I wrote down. Those are the first ones that came to mind. Anyhow,
Okay, well,
I did-
I'll just go ahead.
yeah, keep going. You can go.
No, I was going to say I'll just read the rest of my compilation CD, and TJ, you'll be very happy with it. You're gonna get your wish. So I start off with Blue Cheer, Black Sabbath, and the Casualties, Agnostic Front, Motorhead, Ace of Spades.
I thought about that.
Boy, talk about a crossover. I know people think we are Motorhead and we play rock and roll, but Anvil, Speed of Sound, Agent Steel, Agents of Steel, Celtic Frost, Nocturnal Fear. Yay, TJ. There you go. Sodom, Code Red, Pantera, I'm Broken.
Yes. Somebody mentioned it.
There's a band. There's a band featuring Jason McMaster. He was playing bass and doing some backup vocals, but it's called Activator. And there's a song called Cadillac on the only Activator record that I know of, but it's a combination of heavy metal, thrash, blues, stoner rock. It's one of the greatest Southern flavored albums that I can think of. So Activator, Cadillac. A local band called 4 Days to Burn. In fact, my son, when he was still around, basically knitted 5 different recording sessions together and made it sound like one cohesive unit. But this is about as sludgy and heavy as it gets for fans of I Hate God, Outlaw Order, Dirt Merchant, Cadillac to Mexico, or Orchid. In fact, John Perez mentioned that this was when we put this out on Metal Rising Records, that this was described as heat-soaked misery. So if you can take it from there. Okay, then I had a Candlemass, Hammer of Doom, Stampin' Ground, which nobody's heard of, but they were like the precursor to the punk hardcore thing. They were from England, and they came before Hatebreed, but Stampin' Ground, I bet our friend Chris O'Toole knows who they are, and I'm sure he's rolling his eyes too. I put a Cannibal Corpse song on there. Death Walking Terror. Let's see. I even tripped all over myself and put a Whitechapel song, Eternal Refuge. It was kind of an ode to the current modern deathcore emo kids. I had to put a Toxic Holocaust song on there. I put Gravelord because that's got a little punk element to it. But Joel, you know, is the master of the speed metal punk riff. PLF, Pulverizing Lethal Force, the greatest grind band from the Gulf Coast grind scene. Not to mention Insect Warfare, Descent, Nibiru, Napalm Death, or Phobia. All those bands would kind of fall in that category. Marduk was number 19. Panzer Division Marduk was the song I put on there. Just scathing, blackened, speedy thrash, obviously from the dark side. And the last track I put on there was Opeth, Leper Infinity, because it combined so many elements of piano, classic jazz, death metal, anything you could think of. So anyway, once again, I don't know. I've never played that CD backwards. I don't know if it could tell us anything beyond just the music, but that was my list. And
We
of course,
somebody in the waiting room.
oh, we have someone. Oh, that's right.
What's up, man?
There
Hey,
you
what's
go.
up, guys?
What a great
How are you?
shirt.
Hey, doing great. Thanks for letting me drop by.
Awesome. Are you at Carcass's house?
I am. I'm like 20 feet from him right now.
I was gonna say, I believe I recognize that corner.
I couldn't figure out how to set this thing up for two people, so I just said, yeah, set up in there. It'll probably be better anyway. You can hear better, see better, whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm on
But,
a laptop in the kitchen. It works.
But for those that don't know, this is Jonathan Hatley from Asylum. He lives an exciting life outside of music as a new father and newly married and a paramedic. And I'm sure he has heavy metal stories to tell, but he is the mastermind behind Asylum. He and my favorite English teacher, Colby Rogers, have kind of led the charge on that thing. And so welcome aboard. We're just hanging out talking about actually what if we were if we were Colby Rogers and we were teaching Metal 101 at Mansfield High School, how would we approach it and what kind of songs would we use to get people to understand what heavy metal is all about? Do you have any hot sports opinion about that, Jonathan?
That's the question, isn't it? Where to start, because it's such an enormous
Right.
genre. If I were going to introduce someone just from the ground up, I don't know. I would start with bands like Death. I think where it all began. Their whole discography. It's been a big part of my life. Already backtracking, not necessarily where it all began, but I think that'd be a good place to start. Maybe the Slayer discography. The Hell Awaits album is one of my favorites for sure. And that, of course, just scratching the surface of where it all is. But I think that would be stuff that people could, I guess, tiptoe into the water with, per se.
Boy, that's not just tiptoeing. I think that's
Yeah, I was
you
gonna
did
say,
you did a cannonball
pretty
off the
deep
high
there.
dive.
That's diving headfirst into the river, not knowing what's under there.
That might be Mark Field's way of tiptoeing into the pool, but
Right. Yeah,
But
I'm
anyway.
over here with a Keel song on my list.
but
Hey,
that's
real quick,
okay
let
because
me-
I think it's so vast as Jonathan mentioned it. The subject is so vast that it's like, where do you start? And in fact, I invite people over all the time just to say, well, sit down and I'll just pull some stuff off the shelf and we'll just, if you hate it, no big deal. If you love it, then we have a direction, So anyway, so what else you got? Hair Metal Rob. I know you want to say Winger or Dawkin.
Before we move on, let me answer Metal Mayhem's question because it's been sitting there forever and we did kind of skipped over it. But yes, the Bride CD we showed at the beginning of the show is available at boonsoverstock.com. I put the link in the description there. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
That was it. I ran through my 10-song list really quick, but some honorable mentions that I threw out there, and obviously these are going to be debatable because I tried to go basically from, hair metal to thrash because I knew that you boys would have the heavier end of the spectrum. But Angel of Death by Slayer was, you know, at the end of my list. Detroit Rock City by Kiss, which is obviously a big rock and roll song, but you know, I think it was a heavier song for them. But I mean, God, you could put, you know, like you could put Repulsion on there, like he's wearing, but you could also put Whitesnake. You know, I mean, you could just have such a varied. There's so many different flavors of metal. You know, like Rick
Well-
Perry said when he was on the show. So,
Well, and to your point, it kind of depends on where you started too. And I obviously had a little
Yeah.
earlier start than the rest of the panel here. And so when I was a kid, Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin were heavy metal bands. That was heavy,
Yes,
heavy.
they sure were.
And even the thing about it is I listen to them today, and that would have been an apt description even today. I think that there is an element that laid the foundation for heavy music moving forward, and especially Black Sabbath. But like I mentioned, Blue Cheer and Witchfinder General and Pentagram and Coven and some of those other bands, they had an element of
Budgie.
heavy too. Budgie, yeah.
Scorpions.
Well,
Thin
and
Lizzy.
something I wrote in my little message to my constituents there was the fact that metal is more of an attitude and less of a genre. And I don't know if you agree or disagree, but let's hear your opinion about that. I just think it's an aggressive form of music. They sing about the broad spectrum of subjects, you know, love, politics, science, society. I don't know. What
as
do you
long as
think?
they're helping each other up in the pit, I don't care what they're playing on stage.
Okay.
I don't care what they're singing about, as long as they're helping each other up in the pit.
Well,
when I used to go back in the day and see people fighting each other, I was at hair metal shows and all that shit, of course. And that's what I love the most. But man, I was at all those Pantera shows too. Not all of them, but I was at a lot of those Pantera shows around between 88 and 90. And man, there were just mean sons of bitches down there that just wanted to beat your ass. And I just couldn't get down with that, you know? That took away from my enjoyment of the show. And to me, nope, I want to see him holding the dude up in the wheelchair that can't get down close. And I want to see him clearing the area when somebody goes down. That to me is what metal is all about, is the brotherhood and the, I don't know, just a bunch of tough guys being nice to each other.
well,
When I went to the Rail Club for that Battle of the Bands, John, I'm going to tell you the truth. I was honestly surprised. I did not know what kind of crowd it was going to be. I hadn't been to a metal club in a million years. I hadn't been outside of, you know, Trees and some of the Deep Ellum places and Amplified and Gas Monkey and all that to go see, you know, metal shows, you know, Accept and stuff like that. So when I got over to the Rail Club and it was all these bands that had shit dripping off their logos and whatever, I was like, oh man, this is going to be a tough guy crowd. And honestly, I was a little, I don't want to say nervous about it, but I was a little bit like, all right, I'm going to sit on the side and wait. But man, everybody was so freaking nice. And the two people that came up to me immediately was the club owner, who I apologize, I can't recall his name. He came right up, introduced himself, rolled out the red carpet. He was so nice. And I'm not saying that just because, you know, we were the judges of the thing and he was being cool to us. But the next person that came up and talked to me over the course of the night was Tex. And I didn't know Tex from anybody. I just saw this dude walking in and I'm like, oh man, I bet that guy would rip my head off and beat Carcass with it. Nicest dude ever. And so they blew my expectation away of that was just going to be this bro metal beatdown. And it was just the opposite of that. It was fantastic. That is not my phone.
Nor
It's
mine.
not my
I don't
phone.
know what's going on. I moved my phone way over there because I thought maybe it was. That is my dog, however.
Anyway, that was it.
Anyhow, I got a few more I can list off. I mean, I was
Sure.
kind of sticking more to what traditional metal, you know. I mean, you can go back in the 70s, and I love the 70s stuff, but people will argue with you till they're blue in the face these days that those bands aren't metal. Matter of fact, now there are people arguing blue in the face that the 80s bands aren't metal. Actually had a discussion with a guy who claimed Judas Priest, Saxon, all these bands are just hard rock and not heavy metal. And I'm like, sure as hell we're heavy metal when I was around in the early 80s.
I mean, they may not be extreme metal, but they are heavy metal from
And that's the
personified.
problem is extreme metal is kind of, people think, well, it's not as heavy as, it's not as heavy as Slayer. It's not as heavy as Death. It's not as heavy as
Right.
Repulsion. Therefore, it's not metal. No, because thrash metal isn't actually pure heavy metal. Thrash metal was a combination of things. It was a combination of metal and the speed
Punk.
and the fury of punk. Yes. So it was a mixture of styles.
Well,
It's
and
not-
I actually kind of got my start in metal through the punk side, Sex Pistols and the Verukers and bands like the Ramones, because I like the speed. But then when I heard Priest and Maiden and all those others, even elements of Deep Purple and Uriah Heep and those types of bands, despite having keyboards, I think keyboards can be very heavy. I was always looking for something fast and with that same heaviness and same down tuning and what have you. And so I don't know, but for me, like I said, metal is more of an attitude and less of a genre, because I was in the midst of college. I was putting myself through school, and I had a lot of pressure and angst built up, and man, punk night or listening to seeing AC/DC or Judas Priest at the Salt Palace, where near where I went to school. I mean, it was a release. It was a complete release, and that's what captured me about metal, is that I think that it brings you into the emotional side of music. It's not a passing fancy. It's not a fad. It's not a.
So, yeah, I agree with that. But I want to ask Jonathan, our guest here from Asylum. I want to know. So, what we're talking about, basically 10 songs that we would hand somebody to give them as a primer into heavy metal. So, but my question to you, a little bit outside of that, is so what got you into metal? Because you're obviously on the extreme end of things. Did you start that way, or what was your progression into metal and then to where you are now?
I guess my progression in particular was nothing special. Way back in the day, big fan of bands like Led Zeppelin, the classic rock, which we were just discussing was considered heavy metal in its time. But that stuff, when I was growing up, was already being played on the classic rock station in my hometown. From there, progressed into things like Slipknot, 8th grade, going into high school and becoming an angsty teenager. And it kind of delved into what Carcass John's saying, kind of became an attitude, a lifestyle, so to speak. I was always, I guess, the kind of antisocial kid sitting in the bus listening to Slipknot on the way home.
Right.
And it's just the slippery slope from there, gradually got into heavier and heavier bands from there. And I think.
Wait, I got a question. I'm going to interrupt you. Sorry. You said you listened to Slipknot on the bus by yourself on the way home. What were you listening to it on?
Let's see. I had a CD player and big old over-the-head headphones.
I figured, but I wanted to ask.
Oh yeah. When I was in high school, first getting into music, I guess per se, just carry around a small collection of CDs, which at the time to me was mind blowing how advanced this technology is. And of course, here I am talking to you with Bluetooth earbuds, and just it's amazing. But it's just the slippery, icy slope descent from Led Zeppelin. Now here I am down in the black metal pits, and wouldn't have it any other way, because the people, man, just at these shows, you would never expect it. It's not the normal person's association with the scary and intensity, the music and atmosphere, but it's the nicest people there, like you're saying. Most metal shows I go to, people spread out, you fall down, they help you up. I'm sure a lot of people found their metal pathway kind of the same way I did, getting into a particular band in the beginning and just going from there. I
Well,
guess.
don't you have a somewhat of a classical background? Because do you
Oh,
still
yeah.
have your cello?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I'm terrible at playing cello, but I did play in the middle school and high school marching band, and had some rudimentary, I guess, classical training and backbone to my comeuppance, which helped a lot with Asylum, just being kind of a classical music guy. That's a big inspiration, I guess you could say. You know, WRR 101.1 is always playing in my car. It's the classical music station.
Oh, right on. So Fraser is one of our very long time viewers, and he's always watching the show. So he's got a question for you. Who is your favorite black metal band?
Man, it's got to be Dark Throne. I think, you know, I always have it playing anywhere I go, in the gym, at home. Bortsum, of course. I'm a big fan of Varg and his, you know, the whole story with Mayhem and all that. I don't know. I don't claim to be an expert on black metal. I have a long way to go with it, but definitely Dark Throne, man. Just the raw intensity just hits all the right spots for me.
Yeah, that's somebody's got their list going here. Let's see. Casey says Paranoid by Sabbath, Trooper, Maiden, Walk, Pantera, Crazy Train, Ozzy, Master of Puppets, Metallica, Holy Wars, Megadeth, Ace of Spades, Motorhead, Holy Diver, Dio, Painkiller, Priest, Cemetery Gates. Not necessarily in the order, but those are the 10 I would use. That's a pretty solid list, man.
That is a solid list.
If you're going to kind of hit the bullseye and spread fan out from there, that's a pretty freaking solid list, man.
Well, you guys are all Pantera fans. What style of metal would you consider Pantera to be? I mean, I'm talking the popular Pantera, not the early stuff.
Well,
stuff like Walk.
Drunk metal.
The early stuff was very popular around here. That's for sure. Those guys
right. But I'm talking about the stuff that's popular, you know.
Right,
worldwide.
Since 90.
Yeah.
Man, Carcass, I think it's kind of, if I were to call, I think it's kind of thrashcore. Is it not?
I would agree. Yeah. TJ says groove metal. I don't like to use that term groove metal because it reminds me of Nickelback kind of, or Godsmack or one of those bands. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't know.
Yeah, there is.
Well, okay. I'm trying to be judicious here with my comments. I don't want to offend anybody, but I know I will. So I'm a realist. But I think that they were thrashcore might be a good description. I think that they had elements. I mean, obviously Daryl had riffs, and that's kind of where it all started. And Vinny kind of knitted it together with the solid bottom end with the drums, and then of course Rex was a killer bass player, and then Phil is the ultimate front man. But I think they had elements of, I mean, I hear black metal, I hear thrash, I hear something with groove, but that's just new metal.
Man,
okay.
I think power groove is a great way to describe it, because the power, it was heavy, and it got heavier along the way, and then they kind of came back down a little bit on the last album, which is my favorite, which we can debate on another show. But also the groove part to me came because you could damn near dance to some of it. It was so melodic, but so damn heavy. So I think that's a pretty accurate description. But if you were going to describe it to someone else using, different terms, I think thrashcore, because there's elements of hardcore, elements of, thrash, like you said. So, but
well, yeah. And to your point about the groove, and in fact, I'm looking over here on the shelf where I have the Walk single, and it's got several mixes on it, including one by Jason Broderick of Godflesh. It's kind of an industrial grinding, but it's like a dance mix of Walk, if you can believe it, and it actually makes sense. And I know like when my son was around, he was trying to bridge that gap in metal that had a groove to it or a hook, and even hip hop. And a lot of his friends were black, and they would like trade off back and forth between heavy metal and hip hop, and there was like a very fine line between those two. So it has some element of motion to it, and maybe that's why the pit and the the mosh part of it, you have to move. In fact, I think metal's one of those few genres where when you hear something, I mean, when I hear Toxic Holocaust, I'm ready to take off and start a pit and start a circle pit, and I bang my head during the breakdowns and all that stuff. I think that it's if it makes you move, isn't that dancing? So that's a groove. So maybe you're right. Power groove, well, it's not power violence. That would be that's another discussion. But I don't know. I guess that's what Pantera is. That's why they were so far reaching and they were popular. I mean, I think they bailed out heavy metal from the doldrums of grunge for sure. And they allowed bands like Overkill to keep playing and putting out stuff like Horoscope and Bloodletting and Killbox 13, but they all had kind of that groove. I don't know. I don't profess to know everything, but and to your point about the last Pantera record, you would get no argument. That's their best one. They left it all on the field with
even though they were so disjointed at that time, by all accounts. I think
Reinventing the Steel is just that.
I think it's just the front to back their best, and I'll argue that for forever. But
cool. I was just curious what you guys would think, since I know you're all huge fans of Pantera. Not that I don't like Pantera. I was just curious. I'm just not as big a fan as you guys are. That's all.
Well, and it is truly the tale of two bands. I mean, and that's a discussion for another day. But I mean, they were basically Winger and Dokken, or in Whitesnake, and then they became something far beyond Driven, something beyond that.
I think those early albums get a bad rap because they had some ballads and stuff, and they were wearing spandex and makeup and teased up hair. But dude, there was some power there. There was some early stuff that was just like, man, this has some real bite and some real energy to it. And
I don't hear the glam. I keep hearing people call them glam metal. I don't hear glam and metal in them. They were just a metal band.
No, they looked it, but they did not play it that way outside of some of the.
They barely looked it.
But good gosh, then Power Metal comes out with Phil, and it was just a game changer. But we could talk about
It's not like they looked like they didn't look like Poison or Cinderella on the first album. So I mean, you know what I mean? They looked like a metal band to me. They look like an 80s metal band to me, but whatever. I mean, I never got the whole grunge. They used to be a glam metal band. Glamterra. I used to see that online all the time. Whatever. To me, people who say that to me, you just don't know who that. You just haven't heard it.
Trust me, they're no Tiger Tails or Madam X. They were.
Okay. No, that's what I'm saying.
Well, let's toward the end of the show here, let's get into this, and I'll be anxious to hear what Jonathan has to say. He may never come on the show again. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Brittany Fox, Cinderella, White Lion, metal bands.
Say it once again.
Brittany Fox, White Lion, Cinderella, metal bands or no?
Take a vote.
100% yes.
I say yes.
100%.
The other.
Sure.
How about you guys?
Sure, I'll say yes, only because once again, we're not talking about this little metal genre. We're talking about this metal genre.
Right.
Jonathan's
It's called.
gonna show
There's an
us
umbrella that encompasses a bunch of different.
I was born in the wrong decade.
Well,
Well,
but
here,
here's the other thing. A lot of people, make fun of that metal, and that was as the poser, and I would say, don't make fun of my brand of metal. But also, man, there were people bagging on Slipknot too. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I've said this on the show before. I bagged on Slipknot. I was like, oh man, this is a gimmick. This is dumb. Although I'm listening to Kiss and watching Kiss, but then I went and saw them. good Lord, they were at the top of their game. I saw them
Yeah.
a year ago or so. Holy cow. It was dominating. I couldn't believe how well done the songs were, how well done the production live was. The show was it was fantastic. One of the top 10 live shows I've ever been to. And I still don't own a Slipknot album, but they just crushed it. They were so good.
Killer live show.
Don't hate on Slipknot.
Some of the ones that I didn't list, that I didn't say that are on my list, are some of the bands that you were just talking about. How about Livewire from Motley Crue?
Yeah.
That
Love
100%
song.
a heavy metal song. How about Sin After Sin or Destroyer from Twisted Sister?
Yes.
Sure.
I mean, there's tons of.
Sister's a heavy metal band. Period.
Okay, well, here, look. When I did this, when I taught this little class, I just sat down and I typed out the first genres I could think of like this, where I didn't have to think: heavy metal, thrash, speed metal, death metal, grindcore, deathcore, hardcore, black metal, power metal, stoner, doom, gore metal, hair metal, crossover, sludge, crust, Scandinavian battle metal, Viking metal. You could go on for days.
Wait. Stop
Oh,
the
yeah.
show. What the hell is Scandinavian battle metal?
Google it. GTS, as the kids would say. GTS
No.
it.
You wrote it down. You tell me what it is.
It's exactly what it is. Think about Amon Amarth. What
Okay.
are they?
I guess they're Scandinavian.
They don't have a
Like
mosh
Viking
pit.
metal.
Yeah,
That's what
they
I
don't have a
would call
mosh
it.
pit. They have people get down on the floor and row
To the
Yeah,
row.
I've
in
seen it.
unison
Yeah, I've seen it.
because
It's
they're
awesome.
headed into battle.
Yep. I saw
It's a-
them.
Okay.
saw
an
them at
actual
Lamb of
genre.
God on the Slayer tour. It was Slayer, Lamb of God, Amon Amarth, and maybe there was another one. And those dudes all got down on the floor and started rowing. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" But it was awesome. They
Yeah,
loved it.
and you know what? Gary might be right. It's all rock and roll because that's where it all started.
That is
Isn't
true.
that what-
It is all rock
isn't
and
that
roll.
what Billy Joel said? Now, Billy Joel is not a metal guy.
It's still rock and roll to me, but
But apparently Brian Adams is a heavy metal freak. Did y'all know that?
Yeah.
the Brian. Oh wow.
He actually
Yeah.
wrote songs with. He actually wrote some of the songs on Creatures of the Night,
That's right. I forgot
That's
about
right.
that.
which is one of their heaviest albums.
Yeah.
Cannibal
So
Corpse.
Yes. There you go. Ramming Speed. Oops. Sorry, I did the same thing as you did right there. That's a great track. And matter of fact, I also put down Weapons of Our Warfare by Deliverance on my list as well. I put a bunch of thrash stuff down that I didn't mention because I thought we were sticking more to heavy metal, to classic
let's
traditional
hear it.
heavy metal. But
Yeah, let's hear it.
well, I mean, the first thrash song I ever heard, though, and the one that totally destroyed me and made me a thrash metal fan was back in '83. I was in high school when it was Whiplash. I was like, can it get any faster than this? Well, of course, we found out it can.
Right.
In
Yeah,
'83,
I was thinking the same
thank you,
thing.
Insect
Richie-
Warfare.
God,
That was pretty damn
Richie whipped
fast.
Richie whipped my ass with that record. And also, what's the first song on the first Slayer album? Is that Evil Has No Boundaries?
I don't know. I remember the other song that when I was in high school that tore me, that made me a thrash fan. It was Slayer, off Slayer's first album, and it was now I'm thinking, I keep wanting to say Angel of Death. That's not the right song. The Antichrist,
Or Die by the Sword, or
Die by the Sword. Any of those tracks, man.
Haunting the. I mean,
Evil Has No Boundaries, I thought was the fastest, darkest thing I'd ever heard.
I mean-
Richie whipped my ass with that one too.
A few weeks ago, we did the metal. I keep wanting to say Metal Massacre, but Metal Blade Records thing, and you pulled out the old Metal Massacre Volume 1. Look at the
Yep.
styles on on that very first Metal Massacre. I mean, you had everything from Rat to Metallica on there.
And Gary brings up a great idea that I don't know why I'm holding up pointing my shake bottle at everyone. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there.
production value.
I think we should do now. I'll have to figure out East Coast and West Coast metal. I have to think about that a little bit. but that'd be a good one to get Glenn on because he was always in the West Coast scene.
Yes, he was, and I grew up on the East Coast in New Jersey in that scene.
Oh, so it's a battle royale. You guys could leg wrestle over Brittany Fox versus Exodus or something. I don't know.
Well, okay. I was going to say Exodus will probably beat Brittany Fox, but to each their own.
I just quote Motley Crue when I say just because we're wearing lipstick doesn't mean we can't kick your ass.
That's especially
funny,
true of Twisted Sister and Dee Snider.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that documentary that they did. Wow, those guys, they earned their effing dues, man, or paid their due. God bless.
Talking about getting dragged through court
Yeah.
over the music. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Not only that, but testifying before Congress, and I think we see, and I think that's a seminal point in metal music is when Dee Snider testified in front of the PMRC committee, and basically we understood that we weren't a bunch of dumb drug addicts. We were actually intelligent, thinking people with a conscience and had feelings and so forth. And it was a very, it was a key moment, I think, in the history of especially metal music, let alone music in general.
Yeah,
in my
absolutely.
opinion.
I mean, I did a video on my other channel last week talking about the whole Dark Angel Evil Dead show that I saw in LA last week or a couple weeks ago. And people tend to think, oh, Dark Angel, these guys are evil, they're mean, nasty people, but man, those guys are the most cool, laid back killer guys ever. Glenn Rogers, who is watching the show and commenting right now, I mean, dude's played in Hyrax and Heretic, and now he plays in Primal. Just a very cool, laid back, very intelligent guy, So, or Steve Gaines, Avatar, Bloodlust, now plays in Anger is Art. Really smart, really cool guy. I mean, you can sit down and sat down with him for an hour. We just sat there and talked, and just like we are here, ate some breakfast and chatted. It was those guys aren't these evil people like to make them out to be.
Nah.
No, some of them are.
Gene
I mean,
Helen was
you-
the nicest dude we ever met.
I'm sure there are, but a majority of them are not.
No. Gene was super nice. He was fantastic. Yeah.
Gene Hoglan? Oh yeah,
Oh,
I got to meet him too, and yeah, he actually was funny. He was actually telling us stories about the album cover I didn't know, and I handed him a little picture to sign, and he's like, "See that little speck over my head? That's a UFO." So yeah, he was a cool guy. Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Dee
we've
Snider is
got-
the GOAT.
We've got some new names today, and I hope that's because we're broadcasting on the Deep Dallas Radio Facebook page as well. We're about to wrap up the show, everybody. Anybody got we're not in a big hurry, but it is almost 6. Do you guys want to throw any other songs out there that you would use as part of your metal primer for somebody?
I got a few more I wrote down. How about from the 70s, Nobody's Fault by Aerosmith?
Heavy
Okay,
song.
Yeah. Covered by Testament.
Somebody mentioned it, but I said Holy Diver by Dio. Piranha by Exodus.
Yes.
Out for Blood by Bride. These are just some of the ones. How about Neon Nights, Black Sabbath, Dio.
Yes.
What else did I write down over here? Metal Thrashing Mad, Anthrax.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't think about that.
I think that's all. That's all I have written down, unless I missed one here and there. Of course,
Well-
and then, of course, every Manowar song, right?
Jeez.
No, Manowar's fine. I never
I know what
saw
Rob's getting for
Manowar.
Christmas.
The song.
You don't like Manowar at all?
When you talk,
Me?
you talked about Manowar. This is the only one that I like.
I've
That
seen
one.
them twice, and it's too much shtick for me. And that's the thing about music. Sometimes it hits you, sometimes it doesn't.
But,
I mean,
but blow your speakers with rock and roll.
okay,
Absolutely.
I'll give him credit for that. But you know what? I listen to Osric Tentacles, and I see magic.
Crazy
Rob.
stuff.
Hate it.
Rob rolls his eyes, but I know secretly he's a closet Osric's fan. So
I've got a CD.
I've got one last one for you guys.
Okay.
Do it.
Acid Bath, Finger Paintings of the Insane. Throw people right into the deep end.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
guys are
I
trying
like
to scare
acid.
people off.
No, you know what? Either you're in or you're out. I think but I don't know
Exactly.
that there's a getting used to the water with metal. I mean, there are lighter forms, and everybody has their stick, but I think that it's so available. You don't have to settle for just what they shove in your ear holes off the
Right.
radio or
Agreed.
I don't know if you
it,
can
And
what.
see
that's
right.
why, and that's why on the Metal Rob show, you get some variety. And on the Crypt, featuring Carcass John, you get some variety. Some
Well,
bands you may have never heard.
and I was told by a friend, and he said, I want to learn something new when I listen to your show. So every time I prepare for the show, I try and come up with bands that nobody's ever heard of. I rarely play the same band twice, let alone the same song. I know you have a different philosophy on that. But I want people to know, I want them to hear the whole, the whole gambit of possibilities.
Yeah.
And like my last episode was an ode to Canadian metal. Well, we had everything from Thor to Cryptopsy on that list, and the industrial meanderings of Oblivion, all the way down to the awkward pentameter of Voivod, but everything in between. But it wasn't just a death metal show or a grindcore show or a thrash show. It was an ode to Canadian metal. So
Yeah, and it was awesome.
and that's and I think it's go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
On you. I like to run some bands into the ground because I want the repetition, because I want people to check out the Chris Manning album. I want people to check out the Stone Trip album. I want to remind people about Power Trip. I don't play it a ton, but I play it some. But I've got 6 or 8 or 10 bands that I do like to play a lot. Like I like to play Legacy from Dallas. I play them a lot because I think it's important for that repetition. And then I'll leave it out for a few weeks and then I'll bring it back. But I'm always trying to play some new stuff. But I think your show is definitely fantastic at themes and crossing a broad spectrum of what you're talking about, where mine is definitely a little more in the box of, melodic hard rock, traditional heavy metal. There's no doubt about that.
Well, and not to fanboy you just because you're on the air and you just gave me a compliment, but I like listening to your show because that's not a group of songs that I would normally just pick out on my own.
Right.
And I've actually heard some stuff. I'm like, hey, no, that's got a pretty cool groove. And then I'll Bandcamp them and
Yep.
I'll actually either download them or buy a record or do something. But it's caused me to look outside my normal cryptic realm of music. And to me, I'll say it till the day I die. If it's good, I really don't care what genre it is.
Agreed.
Good music is good music. Just
Well,
like Jonathan listening to classical, I listen to classical too. My mother is a world-class classically trained pianist, and so I got a full gamut of that. She also played in a jazz combo, so I love jazz. I mean, if it's good, it's good. Even I'm gonna say it. I know it's sacrilegious to this channel, but Ernest Tubb is one of my favorite all-time artists, and he is as country as the day is long.
Yeah.
And I have a stack of records from him, and I'll listen to them forever.
Well,
But-
you guys keep bringing up the extreme thing, which I think is great because it shows the variance of what we all listen to. But my consumption of extreme metal is not Spotify and CDs. I've got some of that stuff. I've got some Cattle Decap and some stuff like that, which I think is great. And some of Mark's stuff from out in Boston, which is just freaking awesome. Oblivionation and that kind of thing. You're Fired. Super fast hardcore. But where I like to consume extreme music is live. I like to see those bands live. I like to see black metal bands live. I like to see death metal bands live.
Well, kind of like the first time you saw Napalm Death.
Yes.
You were about ready to go get some food and then use the restroom and go look at the merch table. And I said, no, give these guys a chance. I said, give them at least 3 measures of the first song, and I think you'll be hooked. And doggone it, you were. And now you sort of enjoy it just because of the antics and the stage presence, but the music is what hooked you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep. Richie is 100% right. And then Carcass, I got to show you this comment. Napalm does kill it live. But yeah, that's the way I like to consume extreme music, is right there. I want to see it.
oh
Check
wow.
this out.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I actually have an autograph from Ernest Tubb that I got when I was a kid. And that thing's not going anywhere. That's going to stay in my collection forever.
Yeah. Well, like we do, we swerved the car all over the road. We kind of had a topic, but
And we had
Yeah,
a random
man,
guest, which is great.
the
Oh,
basics
yeah.
of Fancy Jason's Deli. Yes.
I have a
Yes, it
hamburger.
does. Tell us more about the burger, Scott.
My grandson made this for me.
That is freaking awesome.
That is awesome.
I want a copy of it.
I thought it was friggin' awesome myself. So
Yeah, that
of
rules.
course, I'm a little bit biased, but
Yeah, no, he's a good one. All right, well, if there's no parting shots, we'll wrap it up. And
I got a parting shot, not a parting shot, but a parting thing. I just saw a notification from a friend of our show, George Call of Aska Banshee, Cloven Hoof fame, whose uncle died apparently today, and he's grieving. So shout outs to George Call. Sorry for your loss, brother.
yep, peace, brother. Sorry to
Yeah,
hear
that's
that.
tough.
Yeah, George has been on the show.
Played live on our show
Yeah, he sure did play live
in
on
my
our
living
show.
room.
Yeah, and Aska's another one that I play quite a bit on the show because I want people to hear it. I want people to know. you
Man,
know?
they're so good.
So anyway, well, Jonathan Hatley from Asylum, pimp your stuff, man. Tell people what you're doing and how they can get in touch with the band and whatnot.
Right on. Yeah, my name's Jonathan. I play in a band from Fort Worth called Asylum. Been around like 12 years now, just keeping it underground. For all 3 people in the chat who might be interested, we have a new album coming out this summer. We're gonna be hitting the studio. We've got 7 tracks of madness and a brand new album entitled Cultus Inoxia. More information on that coming soon. Otherwise, you can find us anywhere online using Asylum TX, like Texas, Bandcamp, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. I can't bring myself to make a TikTok. It's just something about it. I need somebody younger than me to handle all that. But man, we got big things coming. Guitar playthroughs, new album stuff. It's all part of the fun. So,
And I'm not gonna say this just because Jonathan's sitting down the hall, but the progression of where they were the first time I ever saw them to where they are now is incredible. It's nothing short of incredible, and their most recent album is well worth the purchase. And I've had the rare opportunity to design a couple of shirts for them. In fact, I may just post them tomorrow just because we had you on the show. But man, his music makes me push a little further creatively, and I think it's indicative of the music itself. But anyway, check them out if you can, because they're a little on the heavy side. But I noticed Jonathan is eclectic like me in his search for new music, and it includes some ambient artists like Robert Rich and Steve Roach and those types of things. And he's included some of those ambient elements, not unlike Blood Incantation and some of those bands that have added that to their arsenal. But anyway,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, I
Thanks.
posted the link to your Facebook page out there and just gave you a follow. And the thing I
Thank
can
you,
tell
sir.
immediately, not only from having you on the show, but also seeing your picture on the Asylum page, is that I will not be arm wrestling you because I have this. This is what I've got.
but
It's
you
all
know
right. It's only
government
in
kung
one
fu.
arm. Yeah, it's just I mean, we try and just, hit the gym and be as scary as possible for the live experience, right? It's all part of the fun.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. So
But-
I'll be checking that out after the show for sure. So if you like stuff on the heavier side of things, go check out Asylum TX. Very easy to find on Facebook. The link is in the comments. All right. Well,
Thank you guys.
yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for coming on. I want to let everybody know you can follow me on Instagram at Metal Robs Records, TikTok, Facebook, all that shit. Instagram, Metal Robs Records, where I will wear you down with things that I'm selling in my music shop. You can follow Scott Waters on YouTube mostly, but you're on Instagram too. No Life Till Metal Records,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Correct. No
Okay.
left to metal. Yep.
Yep. Okay. No Life Till Metal on Instagram. And also you can just find him on YouTube by searching Scott Waters. And then the Carcass is on Instagram at Carcass John Art. He will do a kick-ass logo for you. If you don't believe me, just look at the Metal Rob Show logo, Metal Roundtable logos, all the different ones he's done over the years for us, and many, 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 many band album covers, t-shirts, logos. The dude is world famous. He is bad. He is nationwide. So, and also thanks to Jonathan for coming on. Asylum TX again on Facebook, and just Google Asylum TX and you can find them. And I'm sure I'll run into you at a show, brother. Thank
Absolutely.
you for coming on the show very
Thank
much.
you guys. It's an honor. It's a whole lot of
Yeah,
metal
yeah, yeah.
knowledge right here.
No,
Well-
Gary, I did not cut my hair. It's just in a ponytail.
Very nice. Yes, that's important. So
Someone put that question up there. So
yeah. Well, with that, you know how we like to do it as I get the outro ready because I screwed up the intro already. I got to take the banner down. I always mess that up. Here we go. I like to talk my way through this. It's just wonderful. I'm still not on the right tab. Outro. Here we go. All right. Here we go, boys. Until next time, metal will prevail.
Prevail.
I accidentally did the Gene Simmons thing. Sorry. It's
Oh, he owns that,
tuck that thumb in.
He
Here we go.
owns that. I think he does.
Bye.